Can you unpack what the whole notion of oneness? I mean, we keep hearing it. It's become almost cliche now when in the spiritual circles. Can
For
you
sure.
give us your definition of oneness?
Yeah, I talk about this in chapter 6, I think, of the book. So here's what oneness isn't. Oneness doesn't mean that there's no uniqueness or, differentiality in creation. Oneness doesn't mean we're all just like automatons or something. There's much uniqueness and diversity in oneness. What oneness means is that all things exist in relationship to one another, that there is no actual separateness from anything. Nothing in the universe can exist in a vacuum or isolation. And you can do this thought experiment, right? You can try to think of one thing in the universe that is truly existing in absolute isolation with no connection whatsoever to anything else. And you'll go, oh, yeah, there's nothing. Nothing in the universe is separate. So that's what oneness means is that everything exists in relationship. And so I use that framework of relationship throughout the book to help the reader understand oneness better. And then we get into like, what does relationship really mean? What does it mean to be in relationship with something is a big concept as well.
Okay. Um, all right. So I want to talk about the emotional guidance system because this is a brilliant framework that you have outlined in your book. And the purpose of it is to show, which of these beliefs are really active within us. So can you please walk us through this system?
Yeah, I think the emotional guidance system is the one, like sometimes people ask me, like, if you could leave the reader with one thing from the book that they really get, what would it be? And I always say the emotional guidance system
Yeah.
because this is why we suffer, right? We resist our negative emotions and we resist them because we don't understand them. We see them as enemies coming to haunt us or abuse us or something. And so I spend a whole chapter, chapter 3 in the book, is about the emotional guidance system and this understanding that we have no false feelings, we have no wrong emotions. In fact, all of our emotions, positive or negative, are always correct. And this flies in the face of conventional thinking, right? Where we've all been taught our whole life since childhood. Well, you can't trust your emotions because your emotions will lead you astray. So you
Hmm.
got to think rationally. And it's so off track that it's actually the opposite is the case, that by the time you feel a negative emotion, you've already gone astray. And the emotion is trying to pull you back into alignment. It's trying to reflect to you how you've gone astray. So the question is, how do we go astray? Of course, we go astray in our thinking and perceiving. So here's what the emotional guidance system is. It's very simple. It's that your emotions always and only reflect your self perception back to you. That's the only thing emotions actually mirror is how you are seeing yourself in this moment. And so emotions do not speak to your circumstances. And because most people think that they think your emotions can lead you astray, right? You get angry, and so you think your anger is telling you to go fight that person or whatever. And the emotion isn't telling you that. It's impossible that an emotion could tell you to do something because emotions are non-conceptual. Emotions are not concepts. They're pure feminine energy. They're pure feeling and sensation. And so emotions are reflections, not directions. They're inherently feminine, not masculine. Thoughts are masculine, feelings are feminine. And these are the two polarities of what we are. And we got to figure out how to get them in union with each other. And we do that by understanding, oh, my emotions reflect my thoughts, the quality of my thinking. And so when I think about myself in a way that God does not think about me, let's say, I will feel some kind of negative emotion. So
Hmm.
I'm lacking, I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, negative, negative, negative. And the emotion is there to say, incorrect, that's not how God sees you, right? But the ego is the great hijacker of emotions, and it uses them, it weaponizes them against us and says, ooh, see, you feel sad because it's true. You really are unlovable. That's why it feels bad. And it's very clever. It's a good trick. It almost always works.
Yeah.
But we have to come to see that our emotions are friendly messengers from our inner world. And so I give a couple of analogies for this, and I'll give you one
Yes.
that I think are helpful for clearing this up.
Yeah.
If a messenger on a horse comes riding into the king's castle from a faraway land, and he storms into the king's chamber and runs up and throws himself at the throne of the king on his knees and says, "My lord, a great army is approaching. Prepare the troops."
Mhm.
This is bad news,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
The
Yeah.
king is not happy to hear this,
Yeah.
but does the king shoot the messenger? It's like, that's where the phrase comes from, right? Don't shoot the messenger. The king is very glad that the messenger brought him such terrible news because he might have just saved the empire, right? And so it's like that with our emotions. When you feel sad, when you feel angry, when you feel afraid, you should see them as a friendly messenger coming to give you some uncomfortable news that, hey, you're thinking about yourself in a way that's out of alignment with the way reality sees you. And so you better get your thinking back on track, or you're going to start generating some negative karma. That's not going to feel good. So it's like, of course, those emotions have to feel bad, because if it felt good to think incorrectly, then I would keep believing in incorrect things about myself and thus go on suffering and creating negative karma. So it's like there have to be a warning, right? There has to be a buzzer that's uncomfortable to hear, but it wakes us up and it alerts us to, okay, there's a problem in my mind. If I
Mhm.
feel negative, I must be thinking out of alignment with reality. And so sadness reflects the belief in lack, meaning anytime you feel sad, the sadness is there to show you, hey, you've got a lack belief at play right now in your mind. And so you can bring the emotion closer and say, thank you, sadness, for showing me that I believe I'm lacking something in this moment. So tell me, sadness, what do I believe I'm lacking? And I teach the reader in the book to ask the emotion the question, and it will show you the answer faithfully every time. When anger shows up, you can say, anger, thank you for showing me that I've got an attachment to an outcome right now. So, anger, what outcome am I so attached to in this moment? And then, boom, you see what it is. And then, thirdly, if you feel afraid, anxious, stressed out, any fear based emotion is reflecting to you, hey, you're trying to control something right now, and you need to surrender it to God. So you say, thank you, fear, for showing me that I'm trying to be in control of this moment. And what is it I'm trying to control? And then boom, you see what it is and you can surrender it. And this is the basic practice I teach in the book.
Oh, I love that. I mean, just asking those questions and pausing to really see emotions as information and data really can
Yep, yep,
prevent you from acting out and instead to think about, okay, what is this telling me about myself and about what's happening and what's causing me to feel triggered? But I think reaching
yeah,
that level of detachment can be quite challenging. I mean, to get to that place where you can create some space between you and the emotion does take work. And it's not something we are taught growing up. We don't learn how to do this.
right.
So um, I think it's worth looking into that and kind of building that muscle of being able to detach from what you're feeling. Um, I think it's important.
Yep. You're exactly
I
right.
mean, it took me a
I
while.
talk about it in the,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does take a while because it's not innate to the ego operating system to not attach. The ego loves to attach. It's the only thing it knows. And so, this practice of using your emotional guidance system to watch for these three beliefs all throughout your day, it's a daily practice. It doesn't happen overnight. I've
Hmm.
been doing this for the better part of 10 years now.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I'm at a place where it's very much second nature at this point. When I feel a negative emotion, I'm like, oh, what's the attachment here? I'm really frustrated. Or, man, what am I trying to control? I'm so stressed out. And then, boom, I see the answer and I surrender it to God. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like that for me at the beginning. It was very hard. I would sometimes go all day long feeling angry or stressed out until
Mm.
I'm laying in bed at night and I go, "Oh man, I've been feeling this emotion all day and I haven't even thought to question it yet." And that's to be expected, right? We got to be patient with ourselves in the
Yeah.
process.
What are your favorite practices, Aaron, when it comes to moving away from ego identification and going towards what you call no reason happiness?
Yeah, well, in the book, I have one chapter on each of the three beliefs. And then
Mhm.
the following chapter is a chapter about how to requalify that belief, or kind of the philosophical insight I was mentioning earlier of this is how to see this belief truthfully. Like, this is why this belief is not true. And that's what you really have to see to begin
Hmm.
requalifying the belief itself.
Sure.
And so I'll give you the one for the belief in lack, because again, all the beliefs really trace back to lack. And
Hmm.
so I say in the book, like, you almost don't even need to spend that much time trying to requalify belief two and three.
Yeah.
Just go to belief one every time. Because again, it's always a lack belief at the end of the day. And the way that I teach in the book is through a line from A Course in Miracles that really opened up the floodgates for me on this and just changed everything. And it's this line that says, only what I have not given can ever be lacking. And I read that and thought, man, that just feels so true. But I didn't really understand how it was true, because ego is really only operating on the level of form. And so the ego, when it thinks about giving, it only thinks of giving forms like money, possessions, time, whatever.
Yeah.
And what that verse is really pointing to is not form, but essence, in that
Okay.
whether it's the nice sports car, the house, the guy, the girl, the job, whatever the ego wants on the level of form, it's really just a symbol, right? That's pointing to a deeper essence of, I want to feel loved. I want to feel free. I want to feel empowered.
Yes.
There's an essence underlying everything. And so it's actually that there is no such thing as lack. There's just what we are withholding. And so lack is a withholding problem, not an absence problem. We don't actually lack anything, but if we don't give it, we can't have it. We can't experience it. And so giving is the proof of having on the metaphysical plane. But giving is an essence first. So, simple example, I'm lacking money. I'm so poor. My bank account is broke. Aaron, how do I give money when I have no money? This rule can't be true.
Hmm.
And I say, well, what does money represent to you? Well, it represents abundance. Great. So, how do you start giving abundance in your life? You can give abundance in infinite different ways. You can give an abundance of your time and attention to others, an abundance of love. You can give the cashier at the grocery store an abundant smile. But that's how it has to start, right? Start living abundantly within yourself, and you start giving out the essence of what money really represents to you. And then the universe says, oh, we've got a match here. But
Hmm.
when you withhold abundance from others, I hate everyone's so rich and I'm so poor, and you start despising the wealthy person, well, what are you telling the universe? I hate wealth, you know? So it's definitely not going to give it to you. So
Yeah.
instead, a way to give abundance would be, I'm only going to celebrate abundance anywhere I see it. So I'm not going to be jealous and despising of rich people anymore. I'm going to say, thank you, God, for showing me what abundance looks like. I bless that rich person. I'm so grateful that they're abundant. And all of a sudden, you make yourself a match to the essence of your desire.
Yeah.
So giving is proof of having, and only what I don't give can ever be lacking. It's an inside problem, not an outside problem.